Hi everyone! A few years ago, when I was working in a musical shop as a keyboard manager, we made a few video comparisons. Kind of a blind test, different piano brands, different models. According to views and likes, this video was helpful to a lot of people and I want to thank you guys for the amazing feedback and commentaries. But I still receiving a lot of questions from you about the pianos, about the difference between models, and I made a decision to make a separate video where I will tell you everything you should really know about how to choose the digital instruments, all the secrets. And this information based on my 5 years experience working as a keyboard manager, plus 10 years of my personal musical experience. Are you choosing piano for your kids, or maybe for yourself, or as a gift to your friends musicians? It doesn't really matter. My advices will work in all cases. And I will start with the most popular mistakes that customers usually make. The first one, of course, polyphony. Oh my god, so much pain in this word. Well, most people think that it's the most important parameter. Someone even think the bigger parameter is, the better sound will be. Well, actually it's not. Polyphony is just the max number of waveforms or samples that instrument can produce in the same time. If we compare this to a computer, it's kind of RAM of the piano. But do you need a big RAM if you don't have a good CPU on the board, right? Let me explain how it's really working. On the simplest model, like Casio CDP or Yamaha P45, you normally will see 32 or 64 voices of polyphony. Those models usually do not reproduce damper and string resonances, hammer noises, or other specific sounds related to an acoustic instrument. It normally has only one or few layers of piano samples triggered by a different velocity. This means how strong you press the key. Let me give you an example. Here I got Contact Sampler. It's most popular VSTI sampler, it's used a lot by many composers and musicians. And here we got Polyphony detector, max and current. I will load a simple piano preset, it's only a few sample layers without any specific imitations or noises, just like a simple digital piano. I will play something for you guys and you have a look at the numbers. You see now, there is no need to make a big polyphony if the instrument do not reproduce any additional sounds. Even if you played the second concert of Rachmaninoff without releasing a sustained pedal, you hardly achieve more than 64, so it's not really important. Now let me switch to this amazing Bösendorfer piano, Vienna Grand, and look how many we have got here. String resonances, damper resonances, hammer noises, pedal noises. Normally you will find all these parameters on top digital pianos like Yamaha Clavinova, Kawai RT, Stroh Licks, Casio GP Grand, this kind of stuff. Let me play something for you now and have a look at the numbers. I think this is the best way to explain how polyphony actually works. It doesn't mean that instrument with low polyphony will sound bad. No, it only means there is no need to add more. Each instrument normally has enough polyphony to support all sound technologies built in. And again, it's just the RAM of the instrument. You don't need 32 GB of memory to play Heroes 3, guys, right? Okay, what you really should care about is quality of piano sounds. It's more harder to understand because normally you will not find this information in any specifications, only about the sound engine probably. But you can check this by yourself in musical store even if you are not professional musician. Let me explain. There are three important parts of entire sound quality of digital pianos. Its dynamic range, its frequency balance, and its overtones harmony. Okay, we will start with the first one. A huge dynamic range allows you to bring expression to your music, play quiet or loud, from pianissima to fortissima. And this is probably the most important thing in any music, especially in classical. And that's why you must check this if you want to buy instruments for practice or study. Good digital piano not only changes the volume depending how you press the key, it changes the timbre and sound itself. Let me give you an example. Okay, how we can recognize good dynamic range if we are only beginners and not able to play something yet? Normally, you can find an acoustic instruments in music shop. Try to hit the keys a few times, increasing velocity with every hit. You will understand how the sound and volume will change. And then, with this knowledge, try to do the same thing with digital pianos. And if you feel like the instrument change only volume depends how strong you press the key, or even worse, the difference between piano and forte are very small, you probably do not want to buy it. I know you guys may think, I'm not going to play second concert of Rachmaninoff, or I'm only beginner, this may be important for professional players only, but trust me, it's not. When you will learn to play your first simple songs, you will understand the beauty of good dynamic range and you will understand how important it is. So do not ignore this. Okay, now let's talk about the frequency balance. That's more harder to recognize, but it is also very important. Some piano brands prepare some mind tricks for customers and use built-in equalizers to reduce low frequencies. The first impression from playing on such instrument, the sound so bright and nice, I really want it. But then, when you return home and start playing Chopin, Liszt, Beethoven, or some other songs written for lower octaves, you will find how the synthetic sound can be. I can't remember how many times customers didn't listen my recommendations about frequency and then returned to the shop with the question: what's wrong with the sound on my instruments? Low octaves sound so strange, can it be fixed? Well, you got trapped by marketing managers. That's why frequency balance is very important. Let me give you another example. The perfect situation is when the instrument has deep and wide low notes, balanced middle, and clear crystal high notes. It rarely happens, but try to avoid too muddy or too bright sound. Of course, many models have different piano variations on the board, but do not count on them too much. Usually it's just a variation of the main preset. Okay, now the last part of sound quality is overtones harmonics. In my opinion, this parameter is a little bit less important than the dynamic range or frequency balance, but it's still worth to pay your attention. In this category, I will include all sound behaviors related to an acoustic piano that digital instruments can reproduce. Remember the example with the polyphony, the damper resonance, string resonance, hammer noise, and other stuff that makes sound really closer to a real concert grand piano. Fortunately, all these informations can be found in the specifications of the instruments. We finished with the sound engine. The last thing I want to tell: trust your ears, but remember about marketing tricks. The next popular mistake: the speakers. The more watts the speakers have, the better sound will be, most of the customers think. Well, unfortunately it's not working like this. The number of watts affects only final loudness of the instrument. And if you buy a piano for your house or for your room, you really don't need such speakers because you will not use all the power, especially if you have neighbors. For example, here's my old Kawai piano, and it has only 7 watt speakers, but I have never used it in the max volume. Maybe 60 or 70% is more than enough, even if I want to play loud. The only moment when you should care about watts, when you buy instrument for a big hall or maybe for a restaurant. Don't think that good speaker system can fix a bad sound engine. The instrument with bad dynamic range, with a low frequency range, with muddy sound will sound twice as terrible in a big volume. What can really improve the sound quality is additional speakers. 2 pairs of speakers always much better than 1, because they reproduce certain frequencies in different directions, according to sound behavior of acoustic grand piano, and the final sound become richer and wider. And again, sometimes portable models with 2 pairs of speakers can be cheaper than a stationary with 1 pair. In the end of the video I give you a perfect example. Okay, we will talk about 3 pedals now. This is the most common mistakes of all parents who buy the instrument for their kids. I mean, it's not bad when the instrument has 3 pedals, Bad thing starts when it becomes the main criteria in choosing. Let me explain. Even the simplest model of piano usually has the sustain pedal, and this pedal is the only important one. Why? Well, 2 or 3 centuries ago we can find some pianos with 2 pedals only. Right, sustain, and left. Left pedal shifts the whole actions to the right, so that the hammers will strike only 2 strings for a note instead of 3. And this makes final sounds more soft and quiet. On the digital instruments we usually have a soft piano preset, and for loudness we have volume knob and headphones. Also, on most digital pianos left pedals works really strange and brings minimum difference to the sound. Really, you can compare it to yourself. Try first on acoustic piano and then on the digital one. Using the different preset and volume will change sounds much better. And now we move to the most mysterious invention in the world. Well, if seriously, it is used by a few percent of professional pianists in some of the modern classical pieces. But those guys already know everything I'm talking about and they don't watch such videos, so don't give attention to this pedal too much, please guys, it's really not important. It was invented in 1084, I hope I pronounced this right, and almost all classical hits can be performed without it, really. And now we move to the keyboard. Well, this is very subjective but very important. Ask 10 pianists what type of keyboard they feel the best, and you will hear 10 different answers. But there are a few objective parameters you probably should know about. First thing, it rarely happens, but some cheap brands make the keyboard only look like on the acoustic one. It's a trap! Check the keys, they must be weighted. It's not should feel like the synth keyboard, you know. Some of the piano brands make graded hammer action. In such keyboard, every key has a different weight, more heavy in lower octaves and more lighter in upper ones. Just like on the acoustic piano, because if you have a look at the strings, they all have different size and thickness. Such type of keyboard is perfect for those who only start learning and practice piano. You can easily move to an acoustic instrument later without any discomfort in your technique. Now let's talk about the sensors. More complex keyboards have the third sensor that improves responsiveness when playing the same key repeatedly. Well, this can help in playing some kind of songs when we have a lot of trios or repeated keys in a row, but it's not super important because you're still able to play the same songs in 2 sensors. I would say it's good if the keyboard has 3 sensors, but it's not the main criterion choosing. Okay, the last thing about the keyboard is material. It could be synthetic, for example plastic or ivory, or it could be wooden, and most brands positioning wooden keyboard as more premium, realistic and expensive. Back to my experience when I was working in the shop, we often compared 2 very popular Clavinova models, CLP 635 with GH3X plastic keyboard and CLP 645 with natural wood X, and as you can guess from the name, it's wooden. And you know, half of the pianists said that they like GH3X action better. And I can understand that. I have complete control 88 MIDI keyboard with keys from Fatar. It's plastic, but to my taste it feels fantastic. Even comparing to many different wooden keyboards premium like Grand Touch, Best Kawaii keyboards I have tried before. Really, Fatar keyboard is amazing, despite it's made of plastic. So do not trust materials, guys. Trust your feeling. Okay, now let's talk about functions. Number of presets, effects, ability to record, connection to different apps and other additional stuff. I would give you one answer, this. If your piano has the USB output and can work as a MIDI keyboard, you automatically get every function you need and even more. Various of DAW to record and play thousands of virtual instruments, pianos, strings, brass, guitars, synthesizers, lot of effects. There are so many different stuff and a lot of free software also included. Don't really care about number of functions or presets unless you buy the piano for the stage, but it's completely another story. So we talk about home pianos right now. The only thing you need USB output. Okay, some old school brands still use MIDI outputs instead of USB. This allows you to connect your piano with a synthesizer or a sound module, so that can be useful if you already have one or planning to buy in the future. But if you want to connect it to a computer, you will need an audio interface with MIDI inputs or a special cable that sometimes can be difficult to find in the stores. Most of the brands really love their mobile apps and use them a lot in marketing. But do not count on them too much. First, because connecting can be a very big adventure. There are two types of connection depending on the brand: Bluetooth and cables. I must say almost every Bluetooth app for digital piano we tried for a long time is very unstable. It can randomly lose connection, especially if you decide to move your phone a little bit, or it can suddenly interrupt the current song or style playing. And if we talk about cable connections, well, it's more stable, but you will need to buy tons of cables and adapters for your device. The other reason? Number of songs and functions in those apps are very limited. And if you really want an app that really helps you to learn, answer is very simple: Synthesia. Just simple USB cable and you got access to the biggest base of songs in the entire world. And you even do not need to buy it. Just open YouTube and type song you want to learn plus Synthesia. In 99% of cases you will find a great tutorial video. Or maybe a few ones. And now, as I promised, I will give you an amazing example of how more cheaper instrument can be much better choice. We will compare two models of one brand. Actually, you can find some more examples in the other brands, but I think it will be fair if we compare two models of one brand.
Round 1.
On the one side, we have Yamaha YDP 103, it's a stationary model, and we have portable Yamaha P125. First, the keyboard. We got graded hammer standard in both cases. This is a pretty nice keyboard, especially for learning. We have simple CF3S piano on YDP 103 and pure CF engine on P125 with damper resonance support and increased polyphony. That means we have much better piano sound on a portable model. Number of presets. As I said before, it's not so important, but just for a comparison, we have 10 presets on YDP and 24 on P125, including additional basses and choir sounds. We have drum patterns in P125. We have built-in audio interface in P125. We have double speaker system in P125. Of course, we don't have 3 pedal, and wooden stand included. Only a sustain pedal, the most important one. But you can buy them as additional items.
Round 2.
So, as you can see now, one model has a very big advantage almost in every category. But what, guys, do you think about the price? Actually, I can tell you only about prices in Russia, because I live here. But before I started to record this video, I have checked Sweetwater store. It's the most famous European store, as I can remember. And here we go!
Flawless victory. Fatality.
And guys, most beginners buy YDP 103 only because it looks better and have 3 pedals, which I'm sure they will never use. Okay, some people who are making music think that such instruments more convenient for working, stationary instruments, because you can put mouse and keyboard on them. Guys, trust my experience, that's a very bad idea. Your hands will not be grateful to you. I tried a lot of stuff, using 2 tables, using different stands with a table, and finally found a perfect solution. Let me share this. First, buy a simple big table with about 90 cm height. Then, buy 2 linear guide rails and get a specific furniture shield with certain lengths and widths. Normally, such one can be ordered in furniture shop. Then use a screwdriver with a few long screws and you will get this, the most comfortable and reliable workspace ever. If you wanna just play the keyboard, it works. You wanna do some recording and use your mouse, it works. Wanna rest and play some games?
All of this just works.
Well, as you can see, color can be a little bit different, but I think it's not so important for a workspace. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope this information will be helpful for you. Bye bye and stay healthy.